The Mad Fictional Imagination Playhouse presents My Wife is a Hardcore Gangster by Rhyan Scorpio-Rhys. The first time I saw my wife kill someone, she was wearing a red cocktail dress in Louboutins. The gun report echoed through the warehouse like thunder, and I watched $1 million worth of cocaine turn crimson. That's when I realized my marriage counselor had been right. I really didn't know my wife at all. 6 months earlier, I was just Jake Martinez, the most boring accountant at Wheeler & Sons. My idea of excitement was finding a rounding error in someone's tax returns. Then I met Mia at the Golden Dragon, a high-end nightclub where I was desperately trying to network with potential clients. She sat at the bar like a queen on her throne, surrounded by men in expensive suits who seemed to hang on her every word. Her laugh carried across the room like music, but her eyes, they held secrets darker than midnight. I never stood a chance. "You're staring," she said when I finally worked up the courage to approach. She didn't even turn to look at me. "I'm admiring," I corrected, surprising myself with my boldness. "There's a difference." That made her turn. Her smile was a dangerous thing, all sharp edges and promises. "Buy me a drink and I'll teach you the difference between admiring and surviving." I thought she was joking. God, I was naive. Our whirlwind romance was like something out of a movie. Expensive restaurants, surprise weekend getaways, passionate nights in luxury hotels. I never questioned where the money came from. Mia said she was in international trade and I was too love-drunk to dig deeper. We were married within 3 months and I thought I was living a fairy tale. Then came the night that shattered my illusions like a bullet through glass. I came home early from a client meeting to find our penthouse filled with armed men. They weren't robbers, their suits cost more than my car. At their center stood Mia, but not my Mia. This woman wore authority like armor, her voice cutting through the room with surgical precision as she orchestrated what I would later learn was a multi-million-dollar weapons deal. "Jake." Her voice when she saw me was winter itself. "You're early." One of the men reached for his gun. Faster than I could blink, Mia had her own weapon pressed against his temple. "Touch my husband, and the next shipment goes to your competitors at half price." That's how I discovered my wife wasn't just involved in organized crime. She was the infamous Ghost Dragon, the Shadow Queen who controlled the entire West Coast underground. The Iron Serpents, her organization, didn't just deal in drugs and weapons, they traded in power itself. I should have run. Any sane person would have. Instead, I asked her to teach me. Mia's laugh was equal parts surprise and approval. "You want in? Fine, but remember, this isn't a game. One mistake and we both end up dead." She wasn't exaggerating. Over the next few months, I learned that my accounting skills were worth their weight in gold in the criminal underworld. Money laundering, offshore accounts, cryptocurrency. It was all just numbers, and numbers had always been my language. I learned other things too. How to shoot, how to fight, how to read a room and spot an undercover cop from 50 paces. But my real baptism by fire came during the Chang Syndicate War. They tried to take over our territory, starting with a hit on one of our weapons warehouses. We lost 12 good people that night. I still remember Mia's face when she got the call. It was the first time I'd ever seen her cry. "They think I'm weak because I married you," she whispered as we lay in bed that night, her fingers tracing patterns on my chest. "They think love is weakness." I kissed her forehead. "Then let's show them how wrong they are." We spent the next 3 weeks systematically dismantling the Chang Syndicate. My financial expertise helped us trace their money, revealing their weaknesses. Mia's tactical brilliance did the rest. We hit them where it hurt. Their profits, their partnerships, their pride. The final confrontation took place at their main compound. I coordinated the attack from our command center, watching through surveillance feeds as Mia led the assault. She was magnificent, a force of nature in tactical gear. When she finally cornered Chang himself, he tried to bargain. "You're just a woman playing at being a queen," he spat. Mia's smile was terrifying in its beauty. "No," she replied, "I'm a queen playing at being merciful." The shot that followed was almost anticlimactic. That night, as the dust settled and our empire expanded, Mia and I stood on our penthouse balcony overlooking the city. The lights below glittered like fallen stars, and somewhere in the distance, sirens wailed their eternal song. "Do you regret it?" she asked, her head resting on my shoulder. "Finding out who I really am?" I thought about my old life. The safety, the predictability, the quiet desperation of it all. Then I looked at my wife. This magnificent creature who had shown me that life wasn't about surviving, but about burning bright enough to leave scars on the sky. "The only thing I regret," I said, pulling her close, "is that I didn't meet you sooner. She laughed. That same dangerous laugh that had first caught my attention at the Golden Dragon. Well, Mr. Martinez, you have the rest of our lives to make up for lost time. I held her tighter, knowing that the rest of our lives in our world could mean 50 years or 50 minutes. But that was okay. Better to rule in hell with her than serve in heaven alone. The city stretched out before us like a kingdom waiting to be conquered. And we were its shadows and its sharks, its danger and its desire. My wife might be a hardcore gangster, but I had become something just as lethal. The man who loved her enough to burn the world down at her command. And somewhere in the night, another siren began to wail. You have been watching the Mad Fictional Imagination Playhouse presentation of My Wife is a Hardcore Gangster by Rhyan Scorpio-Rhys. If you enjoyed yourself, consider hitting like and subscribe, and ring the bell to receive notifications for when our next videos drop. Also, be kind enough to leave us a comment below, because we need to let the algorithm know this channel exists. Thanks for watching. Ciao till next now.